If you'd have told me 50 years ago that we'd see kids drinking charged up raspberry lemonade flavored Mountain Dew Spark, and making videos, twerking their hind ends, well, sir, I just flat out not believed you. It does taste mighty good, though, don't it?
Yep.
You know, this Mountain Dew Spark is giving me a great idea.
What's that?
Think I'm gonna make a video, twerking my hind end.
Get bold with the raspberry lemonade flavor of Mountain Dew Spark.
Whew, what a vibe. Yo,
Love that song.
I love how the four members all sound so different.
I'm Kathleen Scher.
And I'm Allison Toy. On our show Lion Share, we get to feature full songs alongside their stories when we highlight Asian artists every week in our Music Plus Talk Show, a new type of show created with Spotify's free podcasting platform, Anchor.
With Anchor, you can add any Spotify song into your episodes and combine them with talk segments by you to create a Music Plus Talk Show.
Want to make your own? It's easy. All you have to do is head to anchor.fm/musicplustalk and download the Anchor app.
And hello, everyone. How we doing on this fine Tuesday? Got a fancy new look for these streams, since today is not going to be the first SCP reading stream. Hopefully, I'll do a few of these. Actually, I do want to get more into reading and writing like I had originally planned. I don't really know why I stopped. Gaming's easier. No, that's actually why I took the name I did. Because raconteur means, storyteller. But yeah, how you all doing today? We'll be jumping in just a second here. I see we already lost Cam. But if you hadn't guessed, we'll be starting with SCP-2248. Wanda! Hi there. I'm doing pretty good today. It's a nice chill day. Hopefully the background music isn't too loud.
Rufus the Soul, live across North America this summer. Rufus the Soul, with special guest, Lastlings. Get tickets now at livenation.com.
Welcome to Allstate, where saving on your auto insurance is kind of like...
Well, good, because there will also be a hint of commercials, as you can tell. Because my cheap butt isn't going to shell out for Spotify Premium, though I probably should.
Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Mitzi, you are already in the way. Please move. Thank you. You stepped on my keyboard. Stop that. Mitzi, just get off the table. There.
Workplace requires different skills, but there's one skill every workplace needs. You don't learn this skill in school.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Cam. But you did get some good painting done. Like, those picnic tables look damn good.
Understand one another. It brings out the best in everyone. Empathy makes better work for all. Find better work on Indeed.
But yeah, my plan for this stream is I'm gonna read through a case file and then just hit random page and we'll see where the wiki takes us. Because Lord knows there is a lot on the wiki. I'll be updating the case number as we go along. That way, in case anyone does want to actually check out the SCP while reading. And the GIF that you're actually seeing in the background is an SCP in itself. I'm forgetting the number right now, but it's the endless stairwell. One of those. $814, yes, thank you. I remember I always remember the objects themselves, but remembering the numbers is always where it gets me. Like, I think the only one I can remember there's two that I actually know, like, by heart, and that's one, the factory, and 999, the cute little positive emotion blob. But let's get into this. SCP-2248. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedure. Due to its fixed location, Reliquary and Bioresearch Site 369 is to be established around SCP-2248. Site 369 is to be publicly recognized as a Croatian naval base. 2 surveillance cameras are to be mounted in SCP-2248's central chamber to monitor SCP-2248-A. Research personnel are not permitted to enter SCP-2248's central chamber. Remote observation via surveillance camera is permitted. Direct visual contact with SCP-2248-A is to be conducted by D-Class personnel. Personnel affected by SCP-2248-A are to be held in windowless E-Class holding cells at Site-369 and undergo fortnightly medical examinations. Description: SCP-2248 is a shrine with an area of approximately 80 meters squared, located on the shore of the uninhabited island of Redacted, Croatia, in the Adriatic Sea. Its architecture resembles that of the ancient Roman Templum. Radiocarbon dating of samples indicate that SCP-2248 was constructed circa 200 to 260 CE. Inscriptions in Latin and Koine Greek are found in SCP-2248, most of which reference an entity called Luna Primogentile. When initially discovered, the plant species Amaranthus blitum, or purple amaranth, and Cupressus sempervirens, Mediterranean cypress, were found in SCP-2248. Despite SCP-2248 possessing suitable conditions for plant growth, seeds from at least 20 other species were found ungerminated. These seeds were determined to belong to species outside of the genus Amaranthus and Cupressus. Radiocarbon dating indicated that the oldest seeds present are dated circa 200 to 260 CE. This suggests that only plants of the genus Amaranthus and Cupressus are capable of growing inside SCP-2248, as verified through further experiments. Nora, move. Nora, cat. Nora decided that, no, my microphone is exactly where the fuck she wanted to sit. Seeds from other species of plant are unable to germinate, while other plant species that have been replanted into SCP-2248 show no signs of growth and will gradually wither. Notably, plants under the genus Myrtus and Lauris and their seeds will undergo spontaneous combustion within 24 hours of being placed in SCP-2248. SCP-2248-A is an approximately 2-meter-tall statue of the Roman deity Diana, constructed from marble with traces of silver. It is affixed onto an altar inside SCP-2248's central chamber. When an individual, herein referred to as subjects, directly observe SCP-2248, their sensory perceptions of the moon and sun are altered. Subjects are able to see under low light conditions when the moon is visible in the night sky, and are susceptible to retinopathy through direct observation of the moon. In addition, erythema is common among subjects who have prolonged exposure to moonlight. In contrast, subjects experience visual impairment on nights with a new moon, during daytime, or during a lunar eclipse. They are also capable of viewing the sun directly without deterrent, claiming that the sun is perpetually in a solar eclipse. In addition, they do not suffer from erythema or other symptoms of sunburn, despite prolonged exposure to sunlight. SCP-2248 was initially discovered on Redacted 1967 by 2 Yugoslavian fishermen who were exposed to SCP-2248-A. These subjects have since suffered sunburn and retinal damage due to prolonged exposure to moonlight. Foundation agents attached to the Yugoslavian government were alerted to the incident, and SCP-2248 was traced as the origin of the anomaly. The 2 fishermen were provisionally granted E-Class status pending a possible treatment to the cognitohazard. Addendum 22481. Foundation archaeologists have reconstructed several statues of the Greco-Roman deity Apollo from broken fragments recovered from the central chamber of SCP-2248. The presence of hammers and other blunt tools seems to suggest deliberate attempts to damage said statues. Text recovered from the temple consists primarily of hymns written in praise of Diana while denouncing Christianity, the cults of Apollo and Sol Invictus. Below are several examples of such text, translated into English. From Latana is Diana born first, and then followed by Apollo. Likewise, the Sol Invictus of Aurelian is false, for Luna Primigenia conquers the sun. Like the moon consumed by dawn, we, her followers, will be devoured by the Legion's sword. But so long Luna Primigentia's sanctuary stands firm, the moon and her followers shall always return. Addendum 22482. Cross-test logs involve subjects affected by SCP-2248 and other moons and suns. Objects observed: SCP-2995. Results: SCP-2995 can be viewed directly without detriment and appear to be a black, opaque, spherical object. Object observed: the sun in SCP-756. Results: no difference. Object to be observed: the sun in Universe B 10208 Alpha 1483. Results: no different. Objects observed: SCP-1812. Results: probabilities of retinopathy and or heat stroke are significantly increased due to redacted. So that's an interesting one. I haven't come across that one before. That has some interesting implications with the whole swapping of sun and moon. That's really cool. But also, I couldn't take it seriously when, at the beginning, where was it? Site 369. Because it says Site 369 a few times, and every time I read that, I just wanted to follow up with, damn, she fine. Due to redacted, it does sound scandalous, yes. let's see where they take us next. Don't worry, Elo, I'm not going to leave you alone. We'll reference that one together. It really, yeah, that song sits and waits. That's all. It like just waits to pounce. Just always staying out of eyesight. All right, next up we have SCP-5832. Object Class: Safe. Special Containment Procedures. A Foundation front company has purchased the building containing SCP-5832 and falsely classified it as condemned to discourage trespassing. A single guard is to be stationed on location to ensure security. The entrance to SCP-5832 is to be monitored via remote surveillance. Description: SCP-5832 is an apartment consisting of a hallway with 2 opposing rooms at its end. Those who enter the area are completely unable to vocalize. Other deliberately generated forms of noise like clapping or playing an instrument are possible, and other sounds are not affected. Evidence suggests that the anomaly was at one point inhabited, though the apartment seems to not have been entered for at least 2 years. A small metal placard under the apartment number reads, "Department of Abnormalities." The leftmost room appears to be a child's bedroom, painted pink. The paint has no anomalous properties, but contains dangerous amounts of lead and is peeled heavily. The contents of the leftmost room are listed below. A 16-pack of Crayola crayons and a Disney Princess activity book. All images of Prince Adam from Beauty and the Beast have been colored over and scratched out in red. The red crayon has not otherwise been used. A Webkinz plush black Labrador Retriever. In several places, fur is crushed over with an unidentified substance. A Nintendo DS and a cartridge for Animal Crossing Wild World. The game was functional in all aspects, save that when an NPC was engaged in conversation, no dialogue would appear in the resulting bubble. The player character's personal commentary on achievements or actions was also missing. Other text was not affected. Based on the presence of certain time-locked features in the game, it has been played continuously for at least 9 months. A white wooden dresser. Contents of the dresser include a charm bracelet with 1 attached charm, resembling a birthday cake with 7 candles. Also found inside were several opened and partly emptied packages of pull-ups, disposable training pants, and 3 identical Disney Princess t-shirts in a child's medium size. All 3 shirts are heavily stained. The rightmost room is a small bathroom with linoleum flooring. It contains a pink toothbrush and a tube of Crest children's toothpaste, as well as a plastic booster stool under the toilet seat. No toilet paper or other hygiene products are present. There's a large crack in the bathtub sealant. The sink and bathtub faucet are functional and non-anomalous. Water samples taken from the toilet reveal trace amounts of amniotic fluid. These traces persist despite multiple flushes. A plastic cup sits on the bathroom counter. The contents have congealed, but chemical analysis revealed it to be a mixture of apple juice and
just by being yourself. Allstate.
mifprestazone.
Costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call,
I could never pronounce that one. Okay, like, so, what? Department of Abnormalities, but it's a child's apartment? Hey there, Vol. So SCP is a fictional universe created by hundreds of thousands of authors from all over the world that falls under a Creative Commons law. So SCP is Secure, Contain, Protect. And they're led by the Foundation, or the SCP Foundation. And the Foundation's job is to track down and catalog and deal with appropriately different anomalies around the world. Sometimes they can capture the anomaly. Sometimes they have to yeet it into the sun. Sometimes it yeets itself into the sun. There's a whole lot going on in this literary universe. But also, like, what did I just read? That was odd. Like, it feels unfinished. Like, there's not more here. Okay, that makes sense, Cam, because mifprestazone is a... Well, it's essentially like... God, what's the term? Plan B. Like, it's the morning after pill. I wonder if that's related to, I wonder if that's related to a certain other SCP. Because I feel like most birth-based SCPs tend to somehow make their way back to the Crimson King. From how I read it, it's more abiogenesis. So there's the entity gets pregnant via itself. Like, it just genetically is disposed to being able to reproduce on its own. Thus, taking the morning after pill and ending the process and starting the process all over again. which is horrifying. Birthday cake with 7 candles. Yup, that has to be related to the Crimson King. I'll Google that. Or Scarlet King, sorry. Why do I always say Crimson King? I have no idea why I constantly say Crimson King. That just is forever stuck in my head. Or are they two separate things? No, they are two separate things. I meant Scarlet King, though. Yeah, I remember them from on London. I guess it just never clicked that they were the other reality SCP. But that makes sense. Oh, this is an interesting theory. So I just found a theory about SCP-5832 that says that this is the Department of Anomalies... Not anomaly, Abnormalities, sorry. The Department of Abnormalities version of them dealing with SCP-271, which is directly linked to the Scarlet King, and that this might be that universe's version of Procedure 110 Montauk. Oh, this is really cool. Okay, so that makes it a lot less just weird. Oh, and I just had that realization because with the Scarlet King being a multiversal being, every version of the Foundation across the multiverse has their own Procedure 110. Oh. Oh, that's... Oh. Well. On that note, I'm going to hit random page. for those that haven't gotten too far into SCP lore, or this is their first entrance into it, the Scarlet King mythology is very dark. Very, very dark. So if you do look to continue down SCP lore, just, heads up on that one. Oh yeah, no, very expansive. There are dozens of overlaps. And a great example is YouTuber Volgan did a reading of some compiled information for just the Scarlet King. Not any of the offshoots, not any of the sub-anomalies, just the Scarlet King. And it was still an hour and a half after editing. Hyper-focusing on things for no reason. Yeah, that's actually how I got into it back in the day. Because I've been, I had had a glancing interest of SCP for at least 12 years. At least. And then I didn't really get deeper into it until maybe the last 5 years, when I really started writing more. And I've actually drafted a few of my own articles, but I've never looked to actually get anything submitted. But I think I want to change that. Oh yeah, I'm right there with you, Cam. I am right there with you. And our next up, SCP-2661, Object Class Euclid. Actually, there's a couple of you here that aren't very versed in SCP, so let me do a little thing here. So when I read Object Class Safe, Object Class Euclid, things like that, Object Class represents how easy it is to contain an anomalous object. Some are super easy. Some are literally impossible. And I'll go through and read the class descriptions here for you. So, primary classes. We have Safe. Safe class SCPs are anomalies that are easily and safely contained. This is often due to the fact that the Foundation has researched the SCP well enough that containment does not require significant resources, or that the anomalies require a specific and continuous activation or trigger. Classifying an SCP as safe, however, does not mean that handling or activating it does not pose a threat. So yeah, all safe means is we have next to no work to contain this thing, or we've done enough work that we don't need to worry about containing it anymore. Euclid. Euclid. Euclid class SCPs are anomalies that require more resources to contain completely, or where containment isn't always reliable. Usually, this is because the SCP is insufficiently understood or inherently unpredictable. Euclid is the object class with the greatest scope, as it's usually a safe bet that an SCP will be this class if it doesn't easily fall into any other standard object class. As a note, any SCP that's autonomous, sentient, or sapient is generally classified as Euclid due to the inherent unpredictability of an object that can act or think on its own. Because, yeah, there are, in fact, many sentient SCPs. There are SCPs that are just dudes. Like, just a dude. But the dude's super anomalous. One of my favorites is the, not unrequited. But, it's this guy that is a... Whatever happened to him, he just will randomly shift in time and or space. Like, he himself is a TARDIS. And it's like he has zero control over it. He doesn't know when it's going to happen, where it's going to take him, and that's just his life. Dude rank for SCP now. I feel like Euclid is like the dude, just dude of SCP. Next up we have Keter. Keter class SCPs are anomalies that are exceedingly difficult to contain consistently or reliably, with containment procedures often being extensive and complex. The Foundation often can't contain these SCPs well due to not having a solid understanding of the anomaly or lacking the technology to properly contain or counter it. A Keter SCP does not mean the SCP is dangerous, just that it is simply very difficult or costly to contain. The Unwilling Planeswalker, yes, thank you. That, like, I love that one. It's such a great story.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate.
Thaumiel. Thaumiel class SCPs are anomalies that the Foundation specifically uses to contain other SCPs. Even the mere existence of a Thaumiel class objects is classified the highest levels of the Foundation, and their locations, functions, and current status are known to a few Foundation personnel outside of the O5 Council. The O5 Council are the ones that theoretically run the operation. I say theoretically because there are... Well, one, because SCP is a Creative Commons project, canon is very loose. Like, a lot of the quote-unquote canon for SCP is really just unspoken agreements amongst authors. But a lot of those... But there are a lot of stories, though, that, you know, will step outside of that. And theoretically, the story goes that the O5 Council are the ones running things, but there are enough entries that show characters in positions of power above the O5 Council or outside of the scope of the O5 Council that it can get a little murky. Thaumiels definitely can be a pain in the ass. Especially if Wondertainment or Are We Cool Yet are involved. Because any Thaumiel that they get their hands on is more than likely going to be a death trap. More than likely. Neutralized. Neutralized SCPs are anomalies that are no longer I'll get it. Hold on. Anomalous, either through having been intentionally or accidentally destroyed or disabled. Anomalous. I'll always get there. Sometimes it'll just take a couple tries. Apollyon. Apollyon class SCPs are anomalies that cannot be contained, are expected to breach containment imminently, or some other similar scenario. Such anomalies are usually associated with world-ending threats or a K-class scenario of some kind and require a massive effort from the Foundation to deal with. Yeah. Yeah. Archon. Archon SCPs are anomalies that could theoretically be contained, but are best left uncontained for some reason. Archon SCPs may be a part of consensus reality that is difficult to fully contain, or may have adverse effects if put into containment. These SCPs are not uncontainable. The defining feature of the class is that the Foundation chooses not to put the anomaly into containment. Non-standard object classes. Explained. Explained SCPs are that's weirdly written. Explained SCPs are commonly Oh, never mind. My brain just stopped. You get hit in the head enough, and it's words. Ah, Jesus. Explained SCPs are commonly articles about anomalies that are completely and fully understood, to the point where their effects are now explainable by mainstream science or phenomena that have been debunked or falsely mistaken as an anomaly. Esoteric/narrative classes. Esoteric object classes, often occasionally referred to as narrative classes, are object classes that do not fall into any of the above sections. They are generally only used once and are created to further the narrative of a particular SCP. It is highly recommended that SCPs use one of the standard object classes listed here. So, essentially what this means is, this is kind of a catch-all. There are certain there's a lot of joke SCPs that use containment classes that are not previously listed, so that falls under this. Or there's some that are very specific that those would fall under esoteric or narrative as well. And then lastly, we have decommissioned. Decommissioned SCPs are an object class that was used by senior staff in the place to not only delete unwanted articles, but place them in a sort of wall of shame to serve as examples of what not to do. This object class is not to be used anymore. So essentially that's like more from a moderation standpoint, but there have been a couple that like narratively followed decommission. Gets a little wonky, but it's essentially a way for the mods to go, don't worry about this one. feel like there was a recent expansion though to that. Oh yeah, they recently added disruption classes and risk classes. I don't know if we'll need to get into that.
No matter how big or small your business is, making your own ad on Spotify Ad Studio is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Let us know what you want your ad to say and pick out your music. We'll voice and produce it at no extra cost. 2. Reach Spotify listeners based on their interests, demographics, music tastes, and more. 3. Set your budget, set your dates, and you're done. Try it today at
If that comes up, then we'll deal with that. But I've had this up on the main screen for a little while, so let's actually get into it. SCP-2661, Object Class Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. SCP-2661 has not been contained, but efforts are ongoing to identify the source of its manufacture. SCP-2661 Alpha is contained on-site at its location 10 kilometers south of Ames, Iowa. The land and construction were seized under eminent domain using the cover story that they represent a biological hazard requiring quarantine. Level 2 security is to be maintained. SCP-2661 Beta is at large and presumed active. Description: SCP-2661 is an illegal street drug known variously as Astron, Zesna, or Tojkef. 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 SCP-2661 began surfacing in late 2014 in Asia Minor and has since made its way to North America, Europe, and North Africa. Street-level dealers have proven useless in discovering its source. Even under strenuous interrogation, they have proven ignorant to how they came into its possession. Tissue samples have revealed that they had been administered amnestics in the past 90 days. Typically smoked, SCP-2661 behaves as a psychedelic and stimulant, producing a very short-lasting experience typified by a feeling of euphoria, accompanied by vivid hallucinations. SCP-2661 is highly addictive, with a dependence potential comparable to heroin. Spectrographic analysis has proven contradictory and inconclusive. Of note, in the unusual degree of agreement between the users of the drug in the kinds of imagery experienced, highly recursive geometries, marked by proliferating angles and avenues. After using the drug even for a short time, the desire to recall these experiences becomes pronounced, typically leading users to attempt elaborate, highly detailed reproductions. Failure to yield to these compulsions, when, for instance, confined or under medical care, produces a sharp sense of anxiety or dread. Amnestics have proven only partially successful in addressing these symptoms. The obsessional effects are distinct from the more conventional physical withdrawal produced when the drug itself is unavailable. Those have proven amenable to conventional addiction therapies, i.e. counseling, 12-step, ayahuasca, etc. Arkham, you have a good rest, my friend. Roughly 1 in 1,000 users suffer an atypical reaction. This group is characterized by a difficulty reaching REM sleep, a manic concentration, and an almost savant-like ability to recall and articulate the drug experience. This group is at great risk of dying due to sleep deprivation and exhaustion motivated by their desire to work on their reproductions without interruption. Recovery Log SCP-2661 Alpha. One of such reproductions spans over 70 acres of farmland. It consists of intricate alleyways and corridors constructed with ad hoc materials such as plywood, cardboard, stone sheeting, and other detritus. The owner of the farmland, a Mr. James Redacted, appears to have built it over the course of 100 days. Local authorities became concerned for the man's well-being, but no action was taken as he appeared lucid and cheerful when questioned and appeared to pose no danger to himself or others. He maintained that, being of advanced age, he had decided to devote what time he had left to an artistic endeavor that might outlive him. The Foundation agents interceded when reports surfaced that his butchered remains had been discovered by a census taker. Footage recovered from surveillance cameras on the property show that on September 8th, 2015, a boviform humanoid emerged from the construction. The entity, classified SCP-2661 Beta, then consumed Mr. Redacted over the course of several hours. Mr. Redacted put up no resistance, though he appeared in great pain. After he expired, the entity dug a makeshift grave and deposited his remains in it. It then knelt beside the grave for a period of 45 minutes, after which it fled. Foundation agents discovered that the construction's walls bore marks made in blood, apparently measured out at regular intervals with the remains of Mr. Redacted's intestines. Their purpose remains unknown. The entity in question has not been cited since. Further review of Mr. Redacted's remains reveal a symbol engraved in his skull. Its significance is unknown. So I'm a little confused by this one. So 2661 is a drug, but 2661A is like a maze made out of debris, and 2661B is a cow-like humanoid that eats people. So the article is not finished, because it ends with addendum. The following are excerpts recovered from Mr. Redacted's diary, but then there's nothing. So I'm very interested to see where this goes once it's finished. It'll be nice to see if I ever come back to it. Alright, Vol, you have a good night. I know it's getting kind of late for you over there. I'm actually going to step away for just a second myself. I will be right back in just a few minutes.
Introducing the all-new Gillette Labs Razor with exfoliating bar. It combines shaving and gentle exfoliation into one efficient stroke. For a perfect shave from start to finish, try Gillette Labs Quick Rinse Shave Foam, Rapid Foaming Shave Gel, and Fast Absorbing Moisturizer. Healthy-looking skin starts with a quick and easy shave. Gillette Labs, available at Walgreens. Click or tap the banner below to shop now.
Alright, I'm back. Let's grab a couple more of these. I will. Thank you, Ash. I've actually got a really nice lemon ginger tea here, so thank you. And let me get that stretch in here. I need to stream more because I drink more tea when I stream, and I have so much tea. Like, I live alone, and I have enough tea to last me like 2 years. It's almost like tea to me is like how some people buy books, where they'll like just buy a shit ton of books and it's like, oh, have you read any of them? Do it. Drink all of the tea. Oh, this one's gonna be interesting. So I'm getting the notice that an ad is starting soon, so I'm gonna wait to start reading this one until after the ad is done, because it's gonna be a good one. I think, maybe, hopefully, we'll see. Alright, we're back. And not weird at all. Everyone's personal preferences are different. You do you. Like, long as your personal preferences don't actually actively hurt anyone, you're good. No worries. I also have like 9 pounds of coffee in the house. I just really like hot caffeinated beverages. Well, not even just caffeinated. I just like hot beverages. Okay, so with this one, I'm reading it as written. As written. SCP-536-J. Object class. The hell is that thing? Special containment procedures. Hold very, very still. Seriously, dude, don't move a fucking muscle. I'm pretty sure it can smell fear. Description. SCP-536-J was discovered on the back of your head. Yeah, it's still there. Hold still, man. Okay, you know those lobsters? The ones without claws. It's kind of like that, but more legs. Like, a lot more. And I think I was wrong about the claws. Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. Its anomalous properties include rapid growth of... Are those testicles? The hell kind of bug has testicles? What is it? Oh, Jesus. Oh, that's not right. Its fangs are dripping with an unknown viscous green substance. I have no fucking clue what it is, but I wouldn't want to get any on me. The diet of SCP-536-J is still largely a mystery, but I think it's trying to eat your hat. Either that or make a nest. I'm not sure yet. It's currently unknown how SCP-536-J reproduces, but it seems to be making a spirited attempt in your hair. Are those eggs or what? Ew. You're Probably going to want to shave your head when this is done. Plans to remove SCP-536-J have been postponed, but so far all have been rejected on the basis that it's going to sting the living shit out of you if we scare it. We may have to do this carefully, man. Addendum 536J-01. 536J's nature remains largely unknown, but a cursory examination of your back shows that there are at least 2 of them. Fuck, I think it's going down your pants. Oh wait, does the audio log work? Hold on. Hold on. No. Damn, the audio log doesn't work. Well, that was a thing. I mean, that's fair. That was an experience. That was something that we all just witnessed. Let me find a new one here in just a second. Oh, I can turn the music back on. Alright, let's see what we get next. Alright. Okay, this one looks like it's going to be a long one, so... So we'll see. Depending on how long it takes to get through, this one might be the last one of the day. But we'll see. SCP-5294. Object Class Safe. Special Containment Procedures. All male parents turning 45 years old trying to participate in SCP 5294 event should be anesthetized and dismissed from the facilities. All SCP 5294 invitation letters should be destroyed. The known property containing SCP 5294 is owned by the Foundation and closed off from the public under the guise of a construction site. All active SCP 5294-1 instances who are the main drivers of conferences are contained in provisional containment chambers at the original area. Description: SCP-5294 is the designation of the arbitrary manifestation of a building in Falkirk, Scotland. The facilities usually replace the position of a fast food restaurant and typically contain locales with several conference rooms and a bigger assembly hall with a stage. A sign overhanging the entrance reads, "The Emancipatory Society of Middle-Aged Fathers." The manifestation typically only lasts for one day before the facilities are transformed into their original state. Untraceable letters have manifested in the belongings of male parents in Falkirk the day of their 45th birthday. These letters pose as invitation letters to the conference. These conferences are realized typically between the times of 0800 and 1700 hours. Any participants aged 45 years with children have, after the participation in the event, been found in a state designated SCP-5294-1. What signifies SCP-52941 is an inability to articulate any sense of self-conscience or object permanence. A variety of psychometric aptitude tests have in particular indicated a decrease in sentient constructs such as self-consciousness, self-awareness, and higher-order productive abilities. While psychomotor abilities and the ability of speech remains unchanged, the individuals seem to have been set back to a stage of cognitive development typical with an infant. Discovery: in February 2021, a Foundation operative living in the area of Falkirk, Scotland, attended a conference seemingly generated out of nothing. What normally posed as a disused fast food restaurant had reportedly transformed into a conference hall. The agent was one of several men with children in the proximity that had received a letter on their 45th birthday inviting them to join in on a conference of fatherhood. Addendum 5294.1 The Invitation Letter. This is the invitation letter received by Agent Gore at the time of his birthday, as of 4/2/21. Pops, dads, fathers, the day has come for all men aged 45 to embark on a journey of self-discovery and self-empowerment. You are hereby invited to the Falkirk Emancipatory Society for Middle-Aged Fathers for a full day of fathers meeting fathers, men meeting men, dealing with the issues that we face on a day-to-day basis. Among things that will be dealt with, under constant subjective change, a healthy breakfast mingle, a good amount of social team building, lecture, tarry gigs on father obligations, cook together, homemade fish sticks, might take a while, live reading of The Da Vinci Code, masterclass, teenage angst with former dad, Greg. We hope to see you there. Sincerely, the Emancipatory Society for Middle-Aged Fathers. Addendum 5294.2 Intervention Log. 3 D-Class personnel were instructed to participate in the event equipped with monitoring devices. Although not fitting either age or parental status, they were faced with minor opposition from the supposed members of the society. Scheduled activities during the conferences were documented in the log below on 20/2/21. Time 0757. Approximately 20 people entered the building. bologna sandwiches were served from a table in the assembly hall. A few men wore t-shirts displaying the text "Real Fathers," signaling their role as members of the organization. A note was handed to the D-Class personnel and other participants with advice for conversations such as tell them where you live, tell them about who you are, tell a funny joke, tell them what in your profession grinds your gears the most. 2.5 hours went by before the participants felt satisfied with the activity. Time: 09:44. Participants were divided into teams with different team-building tasks. These involved carrying heavy furniture through narrow doorways and finding the arbitrarily placed car keys the quickest. Finally, an activity was conducted where the participants were to spend the most amount of time mending electronics, such as stereos and toasters, before giving up and returning them to the store. Time: 10:45. Participants were seated in a circle around a man named Terry Giggs, who listed 106, quote, clever jokes. Time: 11:05. The participants were instructed to cook up a recipe involving homemade fish sticks. This activity was particularly drawn out because of the amount of loitering the participants pursued during the activity. The D-Class personnel uneagerly found themselves doing most of the cooking and cleaning involved. Wait a second, hold on. Break here real quick. So, at 10:45, Terry Giggs said 106 jokes. And it took him 20 minutes. Not even, because they had to, go to the other, get other things set. He told 106 jokes in under 20 minutes. What? I want to know more about that. Because, I'm assuming they're dad jokes. Because this is a dad conference. And no dad joke takes a minute and a half. Because, you have to take into account, 1, they're gonna laugh their own dad joke. 2, they're gonna, finger gun at somebody. And, 3, there's always that, that comes, between the joke and when finally someone gives in and laughs. I mean, it's SCP. Why am I questioning, physics and time here? Alright. Time: 1400 hours. Participants were given seats in the entrance hall in front of an elevated platform. A man wearing the same shirt shown by several members of the organization is seated in a leather armchair. A reading of the Da Vinci Code is carried out, prompting positive reactions from the participants. Time: 15:30. A man posing as former dad Greg comes on stage to speak on the subject of teenage angst. However, the speech seemed mostly to consist of anecdotes about his son's old basketball team. The man on stage disappeared after the moment the majority of the crowd had lost their interest in him. Time: 15:58. The supposed workshop was merely a reiteration of the first activity of the day, with more bologna sandwiches generated on a buffet table. At the last minutes of the activity, certain participants were awarded with the aforementioned t-shirts. The crowd shook hands as newly found members of the society received t-shirts on stage. As the lively crowd left the facilities, D-Class personnel noted that the supposed members, now wearing the t-shirts, stayed inside the building. Doors were shut and locked before the interior got dark. Addendum 52943. Any candid attempt of questioning individuals on the effects of SCP 5294 or anything remotely related to consequences of their own actions only warranted in sarcastic and or witty responses. Thereby, interviews were deemed fruitless. Instead, family members of the individuals have been interviewed to confirm psychological changes after the event. The wife and son of a participant named Jurij Grigorian were interviewed 6 months after his participation. Experts of the interviews were included in this addendum. Interview log. Date 25/08/21. Interviewed Elizabeth Grigorian. Head interviewer Dr. Simon Tabor. Begin log. E. Grigorian. What's he been up to? Dr. Tabor. What? I mean, is Urich in trouble? Oh, no, ma'am. I assure you, we are only here to inquire upon... Oh, good. We are only here to inquire upon your husband's behavior the last 6 months. Have you seen your husband behave differently than normal the last 6 months? No. How could that be? Well, we were thinking if you had noticed any changes in his intelligence or mental abilities. Well, I haven't seen in a good while. Mrs. Gregorian begins to laugh loudly. Dr. Tabor. But is it somehow slower, mentally, than before? Than before? Before Kevin was born? Not necessarily. I meant more... He is kind of slow, you know, when I think about it. Yes? How? Oh, yes, he's very hard to keep on track. And he always has to check with me for groceries. And all he talks about is that conference, you know? So you have seen a difference in his behavior since he attended the conference. Mrs. Gregorian scoffs and folds her arms with her gaze wandering around the room. His stupid jokes. No affection whatsoever. When Miss Gregorian stands up and looks out the window. Ugh. And what does he do about Kevin? Please, try to calm down, I just get so irritated sometimes, you know? He doesn't give a piss about any of our commitments or friends, and he just looks so fucking indifferent to everything I have to say. But oh, so emotional when it comes to that little shitty details. What do you mean when you say shitty details? Once he woke up in the middle of the night, in a cold sweat, worried that his fucking drive shaft wouldn't make it through the next month? So he has been behaving this way since the conference? Yes. What? No, I don't know. Why would a silly men's conference change it? End of log. Interview log. 20/02/21. Interviewed Kevin Gregorian. Head interviewer Dr. Simon Tabor. Begin log. K. Gregorian. What is this place? Did my dad get caught for huffing? Dr. Tabor. Your father is not suspected of any criminal activity, Kevin. Kevin mumbles something inaudibly. What was that? Like, I don't know, man. He wouldn't do anything weird, I guess. Kevin puts his hood on. But have you seen him behave differently these last 6 months? Hello? Hello? Can you answer the question, please? I don't know, man. he never really does things with me. I never really looked... Maybe he's a pimp? Kevin chuckles. Alright, so I'm going to be straightforward with you here, Kevin. Is there anything that you would like to tell us about your dad that you're not saying? I mean, I don't know. He's a walking stool, innit? But he always has been. We'll call it there. Thank you, Kevin. Alright, so that's the end of the article. Okay. Dad conference that makes dads dumber. Okay. Well, does it make dads dumber? Or does it just make them more, like, stereotypical dads, you know? Because that's kind of what I'm taking from it. Dumb dad conference to make the dads daddier. Yup.
Your happiest spring starts with Lowe's, and it all starts with firing up that grill and making spring sizzle. Get those gatherings started with Pit Boss Pro Series pellet grills starting at $4.99 exclusively at Lowe's. And keep your guests comfy with our conversation sets at our everyday low price starting at $3.58. Create a season full of togetherness and lots of delicious barbecue. At Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
All right.
US only.
And you know, on that note, I think that's going to be a good one to end on here. Okay, so so I got a poll up for where we want to send the raid. So it doesn't seem like the non-dads were affected. Because it doesn't look like any of the D-class that went into actually research had been affected. Which is interesting. So I'm wondering why just dads were affected. Looks like we got a minute, maybe 30 seconds left on the poll here. I had a feeling it was going to go that way. All right. So we're going to start a raid for Dash Ducks. They are a oh, wait, hold on. I stopped. That's my bad. Dash Ducks is a duck pond that you can actually spend bits to feed ducks, and it's really cute and super chill, and like, it's just a nice way to end out the day. Thank you all for hanging out today. I'm definitely doing another one of these sometime soon, but I might see y'all again this weekend. Might see y'all next week. Keep in touch on Twitter and Discord, and then we'll know what's going on. But until then, hope you all have a good one. I appreciate each and every one of you. And as always, don't do anything I wouldn't do.